Welcome to Cliff Central Sport. Tuesday, 26th January 2021. Very, very good to be with you. And the Premier League is back. Sport is back. It is rolling. Good to be alive right now. Really, really good to be alive. So today on Tuesday, I'm going to do where I was right, where I was wrong. And if you are a Liverpool fan, oh, these are incredible times. Incredible times to be alive as a Liverpool fan right now. We'll go through some of the Liverpool factors, tell you what I think is going wrong there, and tell you what I do. I spoke about Liverpool last week in my thoughts. But I think Liverpool got serious problems. They've got serious problems. But I called it at the beginning of the season, so I'm not too shocked. But I'll give you a few things that I think they're going to have to solve, and I try and solve them now if I could. All right, where I was right, where I was wrong. Listen, MKT Inspires on social media, all across all platforms. Cliff Central Sport. Be a friend, tell a friend. Like, share, subscribe. And just a reminder before we get going, from around the middle of February, the show will be moving to midday South African time, wherever you are in the world. That's 12 o'clock. It'll be a 2-hour offering. From then, you can catch us right here on YouTube. Expect big changes. That's really, really going to be fun to bring to you. All right, let's get into it. Where I was right. Hope you're great. Wherever you are around the world, hope you are having a great evening. Let's get into it. Where I was right, where I was wrong. We'll start off with where I was right. Patrick Mahomes is possibly the greatest talent American sport has ever seen. And I'm including Michael Jordan. I'm including LeBron James. This guy is on another level. It's his third year playing the most demanding position in American sport, the complexity of it all. Usually quarterbacks get great after 30 because it's all cerebral. Tom Brady's 43 right now, and he's looking like he's going on 23. It's a cerebral position. Patrick Mahomes has a freakish arm because his father was a baseball player, so he's a natural athlete. He's got the genetic gifts, but my God, this guy's another level. 5-star athlete, 5-star brain, that we haven't seen before. We've seen 5-star athlete, 3-star brain. Michael Vick didn't quite have the cerebral side down, but he had a cannon arm and he could run, I think it was a 4.3 back in the day, over the 20-yard dash. This guy's different. He is different. Patrick Mahomes is as good as it's going to get in terms of talent physically and talent in the cerebral sense. I was dead right there. Listen, I called it last season. They're going back and they're saying in Chiefs Kingdom, run it back. Patrick Mahomes is going to win, and I think he's going to drill Brady. They were 9 down. It never looked like they were worried. They were playing the Bills, and I was told Josh Allen's the guy. Please. Sensational. Patrick Mahomes. Where I was wrong, at the beginning of the season, I said Tom Brady leaving a system, leaving a cerebral coach, the greatest, the GOAT in Bill Belichick, and a 20-year dynasty. Listen, it's not easy. Change is not easy. But what Tom Brady has shown me and the rest of the world is that when you are great, part of greatness is adaptation. And he is great. He's gone down to Tampa. He's made it look like he's been there forever. That's greatness. Going into an environment and you lift everybody around you. Took a bit of time because it's tough to catch up with great. Greatness really puts in the work. It takes time. But in a year, I mean, my God. From the worst, by the way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are literally the worst sporting organization in America in terms of their win-loss record. In a year, he's turned it around and turned them into a Super Bowl contender. 43 years old. Tom Brady has more wins in the playoffs after the age of 37 than any other quarterback in the history of the game. It's just incredible. It is just incredible. Super Bowl number 10 he is going to. He's won 6. Let that sink in. I was dead wrong. I said this move would never work, him and Bruce Arians, but my God, great is great. Tom Brady, another level. Where I was right, listen, the Liverpool thing isn't a talent thing, and I've said it already. They ain't got the depth, right? I said that at the beginning of the season. And they ain't got a few other factors, but I was right. They look tired. They look fatigued. They look like they need to hear a new voice, in my opinion. But it's over. I said it at the beginning of the season. Said they won't make top 4. Here we are today, 18 games in. You just forget it. It's over. Let it go. But I was dead right there from the beginning. Just admit it now. This side's not winning the league. I said they're not winning the league. Go back to back is not for everybody. Everybody thinks Chelsea and Mourinho bought it, and Fergie was just, he did it twice. He went three-peat. Man City, it's special. Going back to back. Even City can go three with all their spending. Back to back ain't for everybody. Greatness is hard. And Liverpool need to humble themselves and say, we've had 32 years of failure. You don't just get to turn that culture around by winning one title. Look at Leicester. Look at Blackburn. One title is nothing. To repeat, right? Listen, failure, it's easy to respond to failure. It's success that often makes people soft. You got to say, ain't the same Liverpool team, and they got problems coming at the end of the season. Where I was wrong, Frank Lampard. I thought Chelsea would go the sort of stereotypical, give him 4 years, 3 years at least. But Roman is Roman. Roman is Roman. And as they say in America, sometimes it be that way. Sometimes it be that way. Listen, I said it last night if you didn't see the show. Roman's not harsh. He's consistent. And the consistency is you don't win, you got to go. So I don't mind the Roman Abramovich way. Chelsea, 16 major trophies in 18 years. Nobody in England's been that successful. I'm not going to hate Roman Abramovich for it. And by the way, I totally agree. The manager's expendable. Bayern Munich, they keep changing managers. Barcelona, they keep changing managers. Real Madrid, they keep changing managers. Go and look at the Champions League titles. Go and look at La Liga titles. Go and look at Bundesliga titles. Go and look at the, the German Cup titles. So it's always the same. The manager is dispensable, I'm afraid. I was wrong on the Lampard thing. I thought they'd give him time. But it is, hey, that's business, baby. That is business. The Roman Empire will march on. Where I was right, the Kyrie Irving situation is an absolute mess. The Brooklyn Nets obviously being, even with the Knicks being as terrible as they are, the Nets have always been sort of as the city or as that suburb is in the shadow of greater New York. It's a mess. Brooklyn's a mess. And that Kyrie Irving situation, he goes away for a week and a half, 2 weeks. No one knows what's happening. His cryptic comments, and he's constantly got something to say. It's just unbelievable. And I know people think it's working out now because he's back. It ain't going to last. It ain't going to last because eventually his personality is going to come out. James Harden wants the ball. He wants the ball. And Kyrie Irving, I'm afraid, folks, he's not a stable human being. Unless he's the greatest troll in history after he left LeBron James, he is not a stable human being. Flat Earth. And then it's about, he's a basketball player. And ultimately, I think when you have to overprove how cerebral you are, there's something wrong. The earth is not flat, Kyrie, and you're not a victim of anything. He's been a nightmare. And to be on a Zoom call, right, when you've disappeared without telling your coach, by the way, this is a man that's earning over $50 million a year from basketball. He's disappeared on his coach. He didn't tell anybody he wasn't coming to work. He texted some of his teammates. That's going to be a mess because Kevin Durant was caught with burner accounts on Twitter as well. That's not going to work. And now you've got 3 people that are man children. All of them are babies in 6'3" bodies plus. That's going to be a mess. And I love it because I'm in the content game. Kyrie Irving's a mess. Kyrie Irving's a mess. I was dead right there. Where I was wrong, hey, David Moyes is doing a sensational job at West Ham. Can we just say that? I thought it was over for him after the debacle at United, after the debacle at Sociedad. He's come back and he's shown, sometimes small fish, big pond, success, right? Sometimes that's what you got to be. So, or sometimes big fish, small pond, right? Sometimes small fish, big pond, not so good. Big fish, small pond. Small fish, small pond. David Moyes, maybe it doesn't work for you at United. It doesn't work when you go to Real Sociedad. But maybe it works when you're at Everton and you're the underdog, and you've sort of got that Glasgow man on the street feel about you. David Moyes, he's rocking. The Hammers are a handful for anybody on their day. Mikel Antonio is back. Listen, West Ham pushing top 8. So sensational. David Moyes, I was wrong there. Where I was right, Faf du Plessis is no longer good enough to be in the Proteas lineup. Again, If you're telling me it's about experience, this is the time to show me. First innings of the Pakistan game is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. If he's going to average 40, he is not good enough to be in the team if he doesn't give me anything else. Sorry, like I've seen enough now. He's supposed to be stable. He's supposed to be able to play spin. I don't get it. Let's move on. I was right about that. I don't want to go on too much about it. Let's just accept it. Where I was wrong, and I blame myself here, I'm the problem. The great LeBron James is still great. I thought 36, okay, we're going to see tail off. Last night, he dropped 46. 46, 8, and 6, I think his stat line was. 46 points at the age of 36. Listen, now there was probably a bit of extra salt because the Cavaliers haven't treated him well twice now. The owner, we know what he's got to say about LeBron James. He wrote a letter that went public, basically slandering LeBron James. And LeBron forgave him and came back and won him a title. 46 points, folks, in the NBA at the age of 36. It is the most, he's the oldest Laker, right, above the age of 36, right, to ever get above 40 points. He's the oldest Laker to get 40 points. This guy just keeps doing it. I was wrong. I expected tail off this season. LeBron James, right up there. I don't want to hear Kevin Durant compared. I don't want to hear Steph Curry compared. This man is on another level. Don't ever, ever say KD is close to this guy. I don't ever want to hear it again. The only name you will mention, otherwise you just sound stupid at this stage, is Michael Jordan. And I think he's even surpassed him. So I was dead wrong about LeBron, and I shouldn't be. I'm his biggest fan. Where I was right, Themba Bavuma is also not good enough to be in the Protea team, and that we need to get over. I will no longer tolerate a 30 average, and he does nothing else. I think it's actually about 29 now. What else does he do? You can't average 29, and that's what you are. In Test cricket isn't ODI stuff where you've got all-rounders and you pick people for fielding. If he's a batsman, folks, I'm going to need 40 plus, especially if he's batting at number 6. He doesn't do anything else. Is that where Protea cricket is? You got a guy averaging 29 and you're going to keep giving him... What? The guy's got 100. In how many games? Move on already. He's 30 years old. Bring Hamza in now. Suffer the pain of waiting too long. And let's get into this thing. Because Bavuma is not good enough. He is not good enough to be... He is not test level. I'm sorry. The technique is not there. Maybe the temperament and the fighting thing. But for God's sake, that's not enough. That's not enough. Right? A fighting spirit's not enough. Quality wins. He's not good enough. Nobody's going to tell me he's better than Hamza. Hamza's technically he's all right. Probably a little bit raw. But let's go with him. Folks, we did it with Jacques Kallis. Kallis's first 15 innings were a mess. I mean, more ducks than a pond, right? But we were like, okay, that's class. Let his mental game catch up with his technical ability. The rest is history. Hamza's better, way better than Bavuma technically, and Bavuma hasn't performed. So let's move on. Stop giving chances at test level. I'm not going to have it. You can give chances in county and domestic cricket. Let Bavuma go and play there. If Bavuma averages 60 over the next 2 years, bring him back. But right now, he's not good enough. And I've said that for a year and a half already. I'll finish off with this where I was wrong. Ronald Koeman in Barcelona. If you haven't been watching that, he's even managed to get the guy who skipped training to play PlayStation, Ousmane Dembele, to be out of his mind right now. Barcelona is going to be a headache. Barcelona are going to be a headache. By the way, Leo Messi, for being terrible, is the top scorer in La Liga right now. Are you kidding me? Everybody was telling me burn it all down at the beginning of the season. I was dead wrong. Barcelona, by the way, some of the football I watched in the last game, I don't want to say Pep Guardiola, but whew, boy, oh boy. And they got Dembele flying now. We're seeing Dortmund Dembele. I don't know if somebody put his PlayStation in the cupboard and locked it up, but my God. And they are playing the tiki-taka with the movement, with the wing backs. And then when you've got Leo Messi, well, makes everything easier for everybody. That's where I was right. That's where I was wrong. Love to hear your comments. Listen, before we get into the Liverpool stuff, right? That's where I was right. That's where I was wrong. Listen, you need integrity in life. We can't always be right. So let's take some comments before I get into everything else. We're going to get to Jacques Goosen. Chelsea just announced, and I was corrected by somebody saying it's Tuchel. In fact, Tuchel, not Tuchel. It's Tuchel. Tomasz Tuchel. All right. So Chelsea just announced it. Okay, pretty much not really breaking news there, Jacques. I think especially you being a diehard, you kind of knew that it was just a formality, a procession, really. So, hey, what's the reality? In 12 to 15 months, if he doesn't win the Champions League this season and he's not top 2, top 3 by December, his head will be on the chopping block. It is the Chelsea way now. That is the model. Stop hoping they're going to give people time. If they're going to fire Lampard after 2 seconds and 1 bad minute, nobody's safe. So, hey, I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm a Chelsea fan. I want the club to do well. Thomas Welkomen, as they say in Germany. And let's see how it goes. Just want to make it clear. Do I think he's the guy? I do not. I would have rather had Hasenhüttl, or I would have had Der Wunderkind there at Leipzig, but I don't think they're going to let him go anytime soon, because I think Nagelsmann is the next one. He's just like the Rain Man. I think he sees football differently. Gutlenkosi says, if Watson was on the Chiefs, I think he would have had the same success as Patrick. You know, I think it was Stephen A. Smith that said that on First Take. First Take being one of in fact, the original debate show, allowing shows like mine 20 years later to come on. I don't agree there, because I think this one thing that people don't give Patrick Mahomes credit for is that Alex Smith, who is a serviceable quarterback in the league, had these exact same weapons 2.5 years ago. And the Chiefs never, ever made it beyond the first round of the playoffs. So everybody keeps telling me that. Deshaun Watson, you know, I saw Tom Brady for 20 years with absolutely no weapons. He had 2 weapons in his entire career, a guy called Wes Walker, and he had 1 season of Randy Moss. Gronk being Gronk, right? All right, Gronk is a safety blanket. Deshaun, I saw you with Will Fuller, and I saw you with DeAndre Hopkins for a whole season. DeAndre Hopkins is top 3 receivers in this league. What happened? Because if I say Tyreek or DeAndre Hopkins, I'll take either. Patrick Mahomes, in his first season, went ridiculous. In his second season, he went 50 touchdowns. So Deshaun Watson last season had Will Fuller, he'll be all pro soon enough, right? He'll be an all pro receiver, and he had DeAndre Hopkins. And don't give me the all time, because he's the top of the passing yards for this season, right? Problem there is a lot of them are empty yards. So if you don't watch the NFL, what tends to happen is the Houston Texans are terrible. So once a team is beating you in the NFL, they have something called contain defense. So what the defense does is we'll let you throw the ball short, right? But what they'll do is they have a saying, it's called nothing cheap, nothing deep, is the safeties and the corners keep everything in front of them, which means Deshaun most of the time this year could throw freely to slot guys and tight ends. That means short receptions, and those yards add up. Those teams don't care, because we'll let you do that. And when you get into what they call the red zone, then let's see what you got. And Deshaun, I'm afraid his red zone number's not looking great. I don't think that's a good comparison, because DeAndre Hopkins I saw. Deshaun didn't jump out of the lake. And I saw Alex Smith in his prime, right? And where was he with Tyreek? Where was he with what he's got now? So I mean, I've heard people say this. I don't think Deshaun Watson is what everybody thinks he is. I don't. Great athlete, and he was unbelievable at Clemson, by the way. I love college football, but Mahomes is a different beast. He's a different beast. And to show you that is he beat Deshaun last year from 20 points down. So Deshaun had his chance. He had him down. I'm afraid I can't go with that. But maybe this is what Stephen A. Smith and Guche think. I just don't see it. Jesse Randolph says, you're right about Liverpool. Yeah, Jesse, we'll get into that as the last topic. And what do you think about Mayweather fighting a YouTuber? I think it's great business, because Why not? What more does he have to prove? Make the money. The shelf life for sportsmen. Look, with all due respect to Floyd, is he doesn't. It's not like he's a CA or anything else. This is his business. Entertainment is his business. And in every sport, I've said this before, if you haven't heard it, is there are 3 phases to every sportsman's career, right? There's the prove it phase. Floyd did that, right? He fought everybody. He fought De La Hoya, embarrassed him. And then you get into sort of the legacy phase, which is when Floyd started cherry picking his fights, became about legacy and money. And then now you go into the mogul phase. He's in the mogul phase of his career. It's not about boxing. Floyd Mayweather fighting anybody now, it doesn't change his legacy. The greatest defensive fighter of all time. I don't think he's the greatest fighter of all time, but I love it. Get that money. Get that money, Floyd. Because listen, Floyd's given himself to the game for 23 years. So what more does he have to prove? I think he should get the money. If you commit yourself as he did for 20 years to anything, accounting, whatever, I don't care. You deserve everything that comes your way, and it should be easy for him from here because he's been an Olympian, he's been the greatest on earth, and he changed the business model of boxing. Because remember, everything was about being on a network. He said, forget it, Mayweather Promotions. And that was quite early on. So you might call him silly, you might call him whatever, just because you don't like him. Hey, don't hate, as they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. So I love it. I love it because he's got nothing left to prove. And we'll finish off with Jesse saying, what do you think about the athletes having to get vaccinated for the Olympics? I think it makes sense. I think it's the right move. And I think, because I've heard conflicting reports, I thought the Olympics were moved till next year, but I wouldn't move them. But I think it's the right move. And honestly, do you know what I would do with the Olympics? I'd say no fans. I think China will probably try and roll the vaccine out before then, but I would say no fans. That's what I'd say. Is quite frankly, if the NBA guys can do it, if the NFL guys can do it, if all the football leagues in the world can do it, right, with no fans, if you're an Olympian, be a professional. I don't want to hear excuses about lack of crowds because we're seeing an unbelievable product in every other sport. So I think it's great. And I'm Jesse, I'm not sure if your question is a morality question there. So are you saying, is it right that athletes get the vaccine before everybody else? So I'm not going to answer that question and speculate whether you're asking that or not. But I think it's great. Let the show go on. All right, those are the questions. Let's go. Let's finish off with this. Liverpool. You know, with everything in life, and we can use our relationship. I'm always the last to see my own shortcomings. Right? If you're going to break up with someone, right? Isn't it funny you're always the last to see it? Everyone tells you things are happening. Your girlfriend, boy, hey, is your relationship okay? You're always like, what are you talking about? Everything's great. 3 months later, we need to talk. You know, we all know that text. We're always the last to see our own downfall because it's slow, right? It's slow, and we all have blind spots. Listen, Liverpool against Man United was awful. Not bad, not mediocre, awful. That was as bad as I've seen Liverpool. No juice. And it's not a talent issue. No juice. I said to you at the beginning of the season, I like Trent Alexander-Arnold, but I never want to hear you compare him to Dani Alves because Dani Alves could defend. He was the complete player. Don't ever compare him to a young Cafu. Cafu's whole career was the complete right back. I mean, we'll never see Cafu again, I don't think, in our time. Dani Alves is as close as you get. But Trent Alexander can't defend. And folks, here's the problem for Liverpool. When things are going well, their system's great. Because what it needs is, it's typically German. It's like a Mercedes-Benz or an Audi, your high-level vehicles. Everything has to be working perfectly or it's a disaster. You know, for some things, like Mourinho teams, where it's built more on toughness than it is on technical and tactical skills, is it doesn't need to be perfect to work. That's why Mourinho can win so often. But Liverpool have to be perfect because everything is about precision. Because when it doesn't work, you know what happens on the counter-attack? Trent Alexander-Arnold, even one-on-one. Because Mo Salah doesn't drop, Trent is exposed. So if you're not scoring 3 or 4, it's a big problem, right? Is if Liverpool isn't working perfectly, it's a catastrophe. It's not like Mourinho. It's not like Pep, because Pep, for all of his attacking sense, he's actually quite a pragmatic manager. He thinks defense first. He sets up the defensive shape, and then he lets the attackers do their thing. So I think that's problem number one. I've said this for a year and a half now. There's no creativity in midfield. So the midfield is fully functional. So here's the problem. Robertson and Trent are off now. I believe Trent broke the Premier League record, and I believe a world record for the most passes without finding anybody in the box in the previous game. I think it was 39 passes without finding a Liverpool player. You see, that situation of crossing all the time means it has to be pinpoint. With crossing, it has to be pinpoint. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And that's a problem because you're gambling. It's Jurgen Klopp, heavy metal. Heavy metal is a gamble. It's not for everyone. I can listen to one heavy metal song. I can listen to 15 R&B, hip hop, or classic rock songs. Heavy metal, I need one song, and it's got to be perfect. And it's got to be because my girlfriend likes it, or my best friend likes it. I'm not just listening to heavy metal. It's not for everyone, and it's not sustainable. That's my next thing. There's no creativity in midfield. Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, they're the same player. Thiago, listen, we know how the Premier League is. Everyone takes a season. I don't care how good you are. David Silva took a season and a half to adjust. Thiago, I know, was supposed to be the second coming of Jesus Christ himself. Do me a favor. This league isn't Bundesliga. It's not playing for Barcelona. There isn't only 2 or 3 teams here. Every week, you're facing a team full of internationals. Thiago's learning the hard way. This ain't no Bundesliga, mate. There's no walking pace here. It's fully functional in the Liverpool midfield. It's a problem. The other problem is there's no depth. The fall from Mo Salah, the fall from Bobby Firmino, the fall from the great Sadio Mane, because he is great. I think Mane is the only great, truly great player. The fall's too big. And I was listening to a great analogy by a guy called Trent Dilfer, who's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He says, in sport, and I guess it's the same in business, it's not about your maximum potential. That's not how you win consistently in sport. It's about how high is your floor. So don't worry about your ceiling. If your ceiling's a 10, which Liverpool is, but what's your floor? And I think the great Manchester United teams, Man City, Chelsea under Mourinho, is that the floor was probably about a 6.5. So the very worst they'll be is a 6.5. The problem with Liverpool is bad is like a 2, as we're seeing now. So good is 10, but the drop is a 2. You can't have that. You can't win consistently with that. And if you're seeing it now, it's got to be perfect or it's a disaster. And now Salah's off. Now Mane's off. Now Bobby Firmino's off. Divock Origi, are you kidding me? Alexander Arnold, are you kidding me? That ain't it. Right? Oxlade-Chamberlain, are you kidding me? That's not it. That's not Mane. That's not Salah. That's not Firmino. So here's what you do as Liverpool fans. Swallow it now. You're not going to make top 4 this season. And next season, it's going to be tough because Wijnaldum's gone. I think for me, you got to sell one of the front 3. And for me, Mo Salah's the guy who's got to go. You know why? He's the most selfish. And if you're selfish like Mo Salah, right? If you are selfish, I need you to score 1 out of 6 chances because he's really, really selfish. And he doesn't get back. So I don't get the work ethic, and I get the high risk of if you're not scoring Leo Messi numbers, right, then your reliability. It's like Mesut Ozil at Arsenal. So for Liverpool, relax. It's been 1 title in 32 years, right? It's not that big of a disaster. Just be happy to be back in the mix. For me, I would have said get rid of Jurgen Klopp, and if anything, I would have looked to reboot now. But okay. What you do is next season, you reboot, except that you're going to be top 4 next season. There's fatigue now in the squad, and you have to let go of 3 or 4. Folks, winning's hard. It's really easy to react to losing. Everybody reacts the same to losing. Nobody's happy about it. The great teams get themselves up after winning. And it's not easy. Going back to back isn't easy. There's a reason why only 3 teams in the 29-year history of the Premier League have done it. Chelsea, Man United, Man City. Back to back it's nearly impossible, as you can see. It is nearly impossible. But it's over now. I don't want to hear Liverpool top 4. I don't want to hear Liverpool dynasty. It's over. And that's not to condemn Liverpool. The Premier League's hard to win. They got the best managers in the world and the best, maybe not the very, very, very best players, but at least in terms of the depth of the league, it's the most difficult in world football. 5 or 6 teams can win the Premier League. 2 teams can win La Liga. Maybe 3. Atletico, I think, will fall off, right? 1 team can win Bundesliga. 1 team in France. There's no league like the Premier League. There's no sporting league like the Premier League in the world. Not only is there the best talent, but now the best managers are in the Premier League. It's the best product. So Liverpool, don't feel bad, but I did tell you at the beginning of the season, you're not winning a title and forget about top 4. That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, Jesse Randolph has just said a great way to finish off the show. Don't ever compare Salah to Messi. I didn't. I said, if you're not giving me Messi numbers, but I hear you. Perhaps Liverpool fans, were Liverpool fans doing that? Because the only thing that Mo Salah has in common with Leo Messi is that he's left-footed. That is blasphemy. If anybody was comparing Mo Salah, I first of all, I don't want to know who you are because you just sound dumb. You sound dumb if you're comparing those two. But the only thing they have in common is that they're both left-footed. That's it. That is, I'm with you there, Jesse Randolph. Liverpool fans. I mean, 1 title in 32 years. Relax. You're back in the mix now. You got a good feel with Jurgen Klopp. You got a great ownership. I think you'll be back. Reboot next season. Try and get into the top 4 and maybe rebuild again for another go over the next 3-4 years. All right. You could have been anywhere with anybody tonight. You chose to spend half an hour with me. That's awesome. Another reminder, in February, dates to be announced still, but from February onwards, we will be going at 12 midday. 12 to 2. It'll be a 2-hour offering from an allotted date. So we'll keep going with this format early on in February, but as we roll on, definitely by the middle of February, I will have a date and I will let you know. So check out our social media platforms, MKT Inspires on all social media platforms. Otherwise, you can go and check out Cliff Central Sport on all social media platforms. Okay. Well, you probably want to get back to your real life now. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Before you go, click that one. That's like if you like the content. If you don't like the content, this didn't even happen. It was the aliens invading your brain. Keep going back to washing dishes and finding out what you'll have for breakfast tomorrow. You know, these are the tough decisions. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, my name is MKT. This is the MKT Show on Cliff Central. That is Gareth Cliff if you're watching on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, I am the hell out of here.